Alright guys, welcome along to Arsenal Fan TV, and today I'm going to be discussing our 2-2 draw at Anfield against Liverpool. A last minute header from Martin Skrtel ensuring that we didn't come away from this game with all 3 points, and yet again it's another frustrating performance from Arsenal away from home, a lacklustre defensive display and a performance up top that really didn't flatter us by any means whatsoever. I did expect a lot more going into this fixture. I would have expected us to exact revenge. Considering we had that 5-1 mauling at Anfield last season, but we failed to do it. We failed to instigate any momentum into our play at the moment. Considering we've had 2 good wins on the trot against Newcastle and Galatasaray, we certainly didn't emulate those kind of performances and results in the game today. This was a poor Liverpool side. I certainly think that has to be emulated. If this was a team that boasted the likes of Sturridge and Suarez in this game, it could quite easily have been another 5-1. In fact, I had the confidence to say it would have been another 5-1. Judging by that first half performance where Liverpool had chance after chance after chance and we failed to put any pressure on them, we could have quite easily scored 4 or 5. They had a clinical striker in the box at the time. Someone like Suarez would have had an absolute field day against us. It was absolutely appalling. And you know, it was always going to be difficult going into this game. We had a lot of injuries. Of course, we were at the likes of Aaron Ramsey, Ozil, etc. As we always are, because we always seem to be covering a load of injuries. But you know, even with the team that we fielded, I did expect a lot more. Flamini in that first half was absolutely atrocious. He picked up a little more going into that second half. I was actually pretty pleased with the team lineup in general, just moving away from Flamini for 1 second. I thought the team lineup was pretty decent. I mean, I like the fact that we lined up in a 4-3-3 formation. We allowed the likes of Chamberlain and Cazorla to have a bit more freedom in the middle of the park, and we didn't get those kind of players into the game in that first half whatsoever. Second half, we got them involved a little bit more, but in the first half they were practically non-existent. We failed to get those players integrated into the game in any way, shape or form throughout. Flamini in the central defensive midfield role though, from minute 1, he is bombing towards the other end of the pitch. His lack of discipline is incredibly concerning. I mean, Arteta maybe doesn't have the best defensive ability in the world, but he will keep and hold his position in the centre of the park. Flamini doesn't do that. What right does he have to charge forward like that? As well as that, another thing I didn't really understand about this game was playing Matthew Debuchy at centre-back and playing Callum Chambers at right-back. Callum Chambers had a shocker today. He had one really good move going forward, but apart from that, he was poor. He was really poor today. Let's face the facts. And at centre half, Matthew Debuchy, I thought he had a decent game there, but I think we'd have been a lot more comfortable had Debuchy been deployed on that right flank, and had we put Chambers into the centre of defence, where I think he's a lot more naturally suited. And up top as well, we started with the front three of Olivier Giroud, Alexis Sanchez and Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck and Alexis Sanchez weren't really involved in the game today. I mean, they both worked tirelessly, but they were poor. They had pretty poor performances, which was a shame, because it had to be a game where every single player had to turn up. And considering we've had quite a long rest going into this game, I certainly would have expected a lot more from those players, especially who are so renowned for their tireless work ethics. But it was a shame that we didn't see that. And up top, Olivier Giroud was probably our most influential player, getting the goal to put us 2-1 up, but I'll get onto that a little bit later. So we started this game on the back foot, as we did for the whole course of the first half. We were fortunate not to concede in that opening 5 minutes, but it was positive. I would say it's not really positive, but I was glad to see that we'd actually kept a clean sheet up until at least the 30-minute mark, which is, you know, it's a sad thing to say. We should have taken this game by the scruff of the neck. We should have started quickly, which we didn't. We just allowed Liverpool to have so much pressure on us. And they got their goal in the 45th minute through Philippe Coutinho, and you have to say they deserved that. I mean, it pains me to say that, but they absolutely dominated us. The possession stats today were embarrassing, as well as the passing and the attempts from Arsenal, absolutely shocking for us today. I mean, this was a poor Liverpool side. I can't emulate that enough. They had Martin Skrtel, Kolo Touré and Sakho as a back three, and we didn't even exploit the flanks, which we should have done a lot more in this game. I mean, I would have expected more from Callum Chambers, Kieran Gibbs, Alexis Sanchez and Danny Welbeck, exploiting those pockets of space in behind the defenders, which I didn't do throughout the course of the game. Frustrating to see that, and we didn't take our chances when they came to us, which were few and far between. Actually, saying that, we did take our chances when they came to us. I mean, you've got to say we were fairly clinical at times. It was Liverpool, actually, who weren't taking their chances, and they had a lot of chances in that first half. Sterling had a good chance, Markovic had a really good chance. And you've got to say that Szczesny was the player that was keeping us in the game, and arguably is a contender for man of the match. I thought he had an absolutely superb performance today, and really showed why he's our first choice keeper. He's got to continue doing that on a consistent and regular basis if he doesn't do already. But like I was saying, we conceded that goal through Philippe Coutinho. Poor goal to concede. I mean, we were the ones in possession. We give it away just outside our penalty area. Good pass into Coutinho, can't quite remember who from, but so much time on the ball, and we had about 3 or 4 defenders within about 3-4 yards of Coutinho. Not one closing him down. They're all backing off. Mertesacker, Debuchy, Gibbs, James, all backing off of Coutinho, and they just allow him to shoot. And it was as simple as that. Back of the net, 1-0. They deserved the goal. Shouldn't have gone in because we just gave them the ball. Poor from us. But rightly, Liverpool did get their lead. And we scored 2 minutes later through Matthew Debuchy. And, you know, the free kick, Brendan Rodgers claims that it was a dive from Alexis Sanchez. I like to think that he's making the most of the tackle. But it was a free kick to us. Good ball in. And you've got to say our set pieces in this game were absolutely horrendous. I mean, how many times the corners from both Alexis Sanchez and Santi Cazorla failed to even beat the first man? You start to think at a point that our corners, they're purposely taking them that short. It was absolutely horrendous from us today, set piece wise. But we managed to get this guy. I think it was a flick on from Flamini to Matthew Debuchy to make it 1-1, which we didn't deserve by any stretch of the imagination. And then going into that second half, we certainly started the game an awful lot quicker, which was good to see. And we went out there trying to get the win. To go 2-1 up for Olivier Giroud, absolutely superb. I mean, it was one chance that we had. Great attacking move, great ball by Gibbs into Cazorla. Cazorla, I think it was a 1-2 with Giroud. And then played it back into the box. Giroud tidy finish, 2-1 up. And we didn't deserve it. We didn't deserve it at all. But it was great to see that we'd actually got ourselves into that position and we could go on to win this game. But we laid off from then, and we took Olivier Giroud off and we brought on Francis Coquelin. Didn't really understand that because we needed height in the box through Giroud. We needed him to really, you know, if Giroud was still on the pitch for the goal that we considered right at the end, which I'll get onto a little bit later, maybe that wouldn't have occurred. But I mean, that's a substitution I didn't really understand. We saw Chamberlain go off, who's got a slight injury, and I think the other big talking point throughout the second half was Barini getting sent off. Very, I think immature would be the word to sum him up. I mean, first of all, throwing the ball down. Needless yellow card that, and then the poor change of Santi Cazorla, definitely a red card. He was sent off, and they're the team with 10 men, right? And we played like we were the team with 10 men. That we should have put pressure on them. At one point, they were playing with 2 at the back. They were playing with something like Sacco and Skirtle as a back 2. We couldn't score against that. It's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful, and we weren't keeping possession. Every pass seemed to be a loose one, didn't go anywhere. I mean, there was a moment where we had a throw-in and we threw it straight to a Liverpool player, which inevitably, ironically, led to their goal. I mean, it went out for the corner. Adam Lallana swings it in to Martin Skirtle, who is completely unmarked. Whether that's down to zonal marking or not, it's a completely different debate. But it was poor from us not to be marking him. First of all, Mertesacker diving away from the ball. Our captain, our most experienced centre-back in this game, diving away from the ball, ducking below the ball. For someone that's like on 5 figures a week, take a ball in the face. As our captain, take a ball in the face. You wouldn't get someone like Martin Keown or Tony Adams doing that. It's shocking from Mertesacker, really is, and he has been woeful this season, to say the very least. Looks like a lost soul without Laurent Koscielny alongside him, and I think it's fair to say that Laurent Koscielny is actually covering for a lot of errors that Mertesacker is acclaiming. It's absolutely poor from him today. Really poor. He really needs to buck up his act. He doesn't look like a player that's had a 100 over appearances for Germany. He doesn't look like a player that's won the World Cup. He doesn't look like a player with any confidence about him whatsoever. Another fault for the goal, Kieran Gibbs. Lack of movement, trying to block the ball as well. I mean, the minute that ball was coming in from Skirtle, the minute the ball has gone past Gibbs, Gibbs should have been on that post, and he wasn't. You know, I'm not saying that would have changed anything, but we'd have had a better chance of clearing the ball had Gibbs been in that position covering for Szczesny as well. But we've ended the game 2-2. Poor goals to concede. Absolutely shocking. And we should have come away with this game with 3 points. This is a poor Liverpool side. Apart from their front three, which was always going to be creative and dangerous, they had Lallana, Sterling and Markovic up top, they were playing this game without a striker. They had a back three of Sacco, Toure and Skirtle. Should have done a lot more in this game. We should have exposed their midfield more, and it was frustrating that we didn't do that. It's frustrating that we've been dominated by this side as well. We've got QPR next on Boxing Day, which you have to expect we'll win at home. We've got to win that at home, no excuses whatsoever. And then we've got a massive game against West Ham on I think it's the 28th, shortly following that. And, you know, it's not the best way to go into Christmas by any means, but, I mean, given the way things have gone, maybe a draw is a fair result. I mean, it is a fair result. Liverpool are going to feel hard done by, but it's not a good result by any means. We should have got 3 points. We had to get 3 points today. We're falling behind teams. United beat this lot the other week. We failed to beat them. Doesn't give me the greatest deal of confidence. I mean, we've got to start getting wins at some point. We've got no more room for slip-ups. We've slipped up yet again today, and just hopefully at some point things will start going our way. When we've got our players back from injuries, I mean, I really think we miss Ramsey, Wilshere and Ozil, especially in the centre of the park. We're just getting absolutely overrun. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on today's 2-2 draw with Liverpool at Anfield. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, rate and subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV. and my own channel AFC Game by Game. And as always, thank you for watching, guys.